Okay, welcome to part 3 of the USS Defiant, the 1/1000 scale. We have made quite a bit of progress actually here over the last few bits here. Kind of excited about where we're at, but let's talk about that and then talk about some of the things that we've got going on in front of us here. So let's talk with what's lit up. This is the bottom hull, bottom of the hull, and we've got, as you can see, we've got our cob lighting here. I've got 4 strips of cob lighting that have been wired in, and those are lighting up our lights in the bottom here, and they look really nice. Not too super bright and not too super dull. And then we do have the port and starboard side. I will say this, that green is really bright, so I only have an 83 ohm resistor on there, and I've got a 470 ohm resistor on the red one. I think I'm going to pull that and put a 200 ohm resistor on the green. The green needs a, you need to pull that down a little bit. I think I do, and I think that that is too bright as it sits. So I'm going to put that on there, and again, I still have to work on the light that's going to shine back in through here for the red exhaust ports of the impulse engines. But real simple wiring, basically just wire up a resistor and your negative and you've got the light there. I've also used this 3D fabric paint, shiny black, and it's rubbery. And what I've done with that is just plopped some on the inside, so there's no green or red leaking into the hull, which would then leak into these windows here. So that's one of the things that we're working on. So that very excited about that. That's come out really quite nice, and the bottom is fairly well done. Like I said, I got to put the 2 lights in for the exhaust, but I'm going to do that in the upper portion, not the smaller portion. Upper hull versus the lower hull. Lower hull, not a lot of progress since we last talked. I have glued in the 2 boxes here, and you can see that we've got our cotton in there. And essentially what will happen with that is the this piece here will fit over the top of it like so. Get this lined up correctly, I think like this. That will fit over there like so and have a red glow when the light's on. Just have to glue that in when I'm ready. Not quite ready yet. I like to do that virtually at the last, and then I've got one for the other one. But I think that'll really look sharp when that is all put together. The contrast is nice, color is fine, so we will get through that right there. I've also painted the hull color here on the where the glowing blue lights go. I fixed my seams for the most part there, and you know, we're ready to move forward with putting the lights in on this. Still a lot of work to go, but the next is the wiring for all of that interior piece. And like I said, all the lights are in except for there's going to be probably a 3mm bulb. I think I've got one here. Looks like I can fit one kind of right there. And that might be too much. I might just put a small SMD in both of those and just call it good. Might be easier to do so in the long run. So undecided, but we'll get to that. Lastly, here for this is we have the front torpedo bay, or torpedo. I'm just going to call it torpedo bay from now on. Torpedo bay is lit up. So we do have, I still have micro mask over the front of that, and I have to go back, and this is just primer right now. But that is lit up. It's lighting up those windows really nice from the inside. I just have, again, a piece of cob lighting in there, and that is in good shape. Also, there are 2 flashers in there. They're not combined yet. That will take place at a later date, but when those flashers are included, just to kind of give you an idea here. So that's going to light up the registry, and I think that's going to look dynamite. It's going to light up the registry name for the USS Defiant in the front. So there's one. This is going to light up probably one of the flashers. On the bottom. I'm sorry, on the top. So that's the one that's going to flash. That looks really nice, and once we get a coat of paint over that, that is going to be a flasher on the top. And then finally on the bottom, I think it's probably this one here. Let's take a quick look. Not sure which one of these is which, but we'll get there. Oh, that's the front. Okay. So it must be this one here yet. Yeah, so that bottom will be a flashing strobe as well. So all in all, the model will have 4 flashing strobes, one on the top and bottom here, and then these 2 here in the back will flash. So it should be a nice look. All of the navigation lights, port and starboard, top and bottom, those will all be based on just solid static lighting, no ons and offs, no blinkies. Still very excited about that. So we have made progress. Like I said, this is closed up. We've got the wiring done on the back there. The next is to wire all this up with the resistors and then start tidying that up, and then work through the lighting for the impulse engines, and then work through the lighting for the Bussard collector and then the warp engines to light those up. But that's going to take a little bit more work, and we will get there. What I'm thinking is just lay a strip of light in here, and then light up both of those with one big bright light, but not sure yet. Alright, if you do like what you see here in this next phase, I'd appreciate it if you would hit that like button, and if you'd like to subscribe. We're always hoping to grow the channel. I think I'm over 700 subscribers right now, which just absolutely floors me. But thank you so much for your viewership, and when we return, we'll have some more lighting done. Thank you. Okay, welcome back to the Defiant project. Working on the lighting, and I thought you might want to see how we put together some of this lighting, especially for these little tiny SMDs. So what I've done is I've gone around and wired in resistors to all of these, and I've got the last 2 to go here, and they are the 2 white lights that are going to be on either side of the bridge up here, and everything else has been wired in to a degree that I had glued in over the course of time. This is just once you get the hang of it, you kind of go into assembly line process here. So this wire is really thin, and it's hard to strip with anything but a flame. So I keep one of these little torches you can get at a home goods store or at any of the big box stores, but I keep one of those around, and that just is a quick strip there, and then essentially just wrap that wire around my resistor. I'm using a 470 ohm resistor, and then of course you've got your little soldering iron and solder, and for me it's just pretty straightforward. And let that solder travel, and you're good to go. And it just takes just a touch because that wire is so tiny, and it is you know, definitely just a light gauge of wire, if you will. Again, same thing, just a little bit of strip off the residue, and then take your take the one you just did, and I use these tweezers just to pick up wire because it's so tiny and tight. One key when you've got a little bit of just a little bit of wire that you're working with, I just snip off part of that resistor because they're so long, and then just wrap it around like that, and then I push it back onto the resistor so it's a little tighter. Throw it into my helping hands here, which are absolutely exactly what they say they are. And once again, come back in with my soldering iron, and it's just usually just a touch with that, and you're off and running. Just like so. And then I have a bulk package of heat shrink tubing, 55C to 1C. This is 3/32, and on that little tiny stuff, the biggest key is that you want it to go over that resistor, the size of that resistor. But before I put that on, I usually take my power here and make sure that we've got some light going. Again, I run this on a 5-volt system because I use the 5-volt. I use the 5-volt power bricks that you can get for your cell phone, and that works really nice. So I like that amount of light. I think that's really nice. So once I know I've got that done, I then come back in with my nippers here, and I can nip off the rest of the length of that resistor on both sides. Being careful not to cut your wire, which I have done in the past. And we've got our heat shrink tube ready to go. And take that down over the spot, and then just hit it with a little heat. And then once that is in place, I'll take both wires now and bring them up together as close as possible. And once those are together, I take my little drill here tighten it down, and then I always like to hold that near the base because I wouldn't want to rip that out of its glue spot. And then once I missed it here. Again, holding that at the base. Zip that on. It doesn't need a whole lot, and I have found if you got a kink like that, just pull on it, and that kind of sets the wire, and you're good. And then before I do anything else, I take one more shot at it with the power, just to confirm that I haven't pulled anything loose at that stage. And because I use a 5-volt system, what I do is I've taken a 4.5 volt wall charger, and yeah, we do have light. There we go. I take a 4.5 volt wall charger, and with its wire extension, and I just cut separate the wire, and then put a couple of alligator clips on it, and has worked really nice for a long time for me. So we are definitely coming close to getting all of these wires that were just really crazy and out of control into a semblance of something that's going to be manageable at that point. So and once you kind of get into a groove, you kind of get into a groove, right? So you can do your stripping with that, and I'm using 470 ohm for those white because I want to tone them down. I don't want them super bright. You could do 87 ohm or something different than that, and it would really change up the dynamic pretty quick. But again, very easily just come in here and wrap that, and then again I just crush that against the resistor pretty good. Into the helping hands, soldering iron, and I've got a big bulk piece of solder there that works. And then the piece there, just give that a little strip. Like I said, because that's so long, it is hard to wrap around, so I just basically cut that in half usually. And then wrap that around there, back to the helping hands, and back to the soldering iron. I would like to take a moment and extend my condolences to those of my friends and acquaintances that are across the pond with the death of Queen Elizabeth now 2 days ago, but I haven't had a chance to address it on film. Certainly a beloved monarch and a grandmother, and a world-changing event has occurred with the death of Queen Elizabeth II, and God save the King, if you will. So we wish all of those in the Commonwealth the greatest of transitions and the happiest of times ahead for you. So yeah, again, just real simple. Hit the little heat shrink, and then that is done there. And quick test. Just to confirm that you still have proper lighting. And we are lit there. So I think that's going to look real nice once we get a little bit of mask on there and direct that paint just a little bit. And I'll show you what I mean by that when we get to it. Again, very simple. Just connect the two here. Sorry for doing some of that off camera, but sometimes you have to do what you need to do, I guess. And we'll go back to one more light test here. And I can't stress that enough. I don't know how many times I thought I had something totally complete, and you come back for the last light test and you lose one of the lights, but that works great. So that's all of the little SMDs that I have in place. I still have to add the two little SMDs here for the impulse engines, but just real quick on an actual 3mm, light, that's a little bit different process, but very much the same. And I'll come back to that when I'm prepared for it. Can't get that out at the moment. All right, thank you. I will be back. All right, hey, welcome back to the Sloppy Modeler. Hey, welcome back to the show. We're happy to have you here with us. We are working on the USS Defiant. This is part 3 of our build of the 1/1000 scale USS Defiant. And we have made a little bit of progress here since our last episode. I guess that's a good thing. We have the bottom pretty well powered up. You can see that we've got our red and green nav lights, and those are actually covered by a little mask. We also have our light that's supposed to light up the Defiant registry here on the very front. I've got taped off. This has been painted tan underneath here. I've got that taped off, and then we do have lights inside. I don't know if that's going to show up. We do have lights inside that's going to light up the port windows, and it'll light up the deflector dish underneath. Along with using these cob lights here, that's going to light up our windows. And they actually do a pretty decent job of that. I'm fairly pleased with the way that that's going to turn out. So that is pretty well lit up. We do have two of these lights here, one for the top and one for this bottom light for strobe lights. And those are going to connect into the strobe lights that are down here on the bottom side. I have put one coat of primer on here just to get some things started with that. The other thing I did before I glued in that top piece or the front torpedo tube is I did go ahead and use my polished cement color and paint it inside of here, and I did the same thing because it's going to show, but it's going to be impossible to paint once you've done that. So just painting that a little beforehand, you can see my overspray, but painting a little bit, and then I did paint the bottom of this just so that I don't have to worry about taping off there. And now we can tape off some of this front portion here as we go. So just a little bit of progress to show. The next step, I've got the wiring neatened up pretty well here on the bottom portion of the USS Defiant. And you can see what an absolute total chaos this has been. But it's actually not bad. And we've got some things working that I think are just going to be super amazing when they come together. Just a couple of points to show, a couple of things to show. Each one of these nacelle wings has got a 3mm bulb that is a white bulb. I think it's white. You know what? I haven't looked at that in a long time, so I can't tell. Well, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when we plug it in, because I'm sure that there's, I see over here that there's at least a few things that will light up. If you kick this one on, and maybe kick that one on. Oh, not so much. That does kick on the blue lighting underneath there, and I think that's going to look pretty nice. So you can tell by the sheer volume of wires that there's a lot to this. So we'll have to clean that up. But if we light up one more of the nacelles, maybe this will show probably this 5mm white bulb here. Yeah, so that's a 5mm white bulb, but that's going to be in front of, there we go, that's going to be in front of, or behind this piece here, which has been painted a Tamiya gray, and then a Tamiya transparent blue on the back side of it. So that will sit something like this here, and what I have is I've got that masked off at the moment, and we'll pop that out when it comes time. But that's on that piece. And then on the other section here, let's see, not that one. Let's see where this one leads. And again, you can imagine how absolutely tiny and small all this wiring is here as we've kind of worked through it. So I think maybe this one here. And what I'll do as soon as we're done talking here is we will, yeah, so that's got a red bulb behind it. So what I want to do between there and, I think I can maybe pull this one off, maybe not, probably not, let's see. Between here and this one, this part fits in here something like, what's the other one? This part fits in here something like this. can't be that complicated, but it is. Yeah, so that will fit in like that. So what we're attempting to do here is over the top of that red bulb is we are going to have over the top of that red bulb we're going to have, okay, enough wiring messing around with that. We're going to have these Bussard collectors, and that's these right here in the finished one. So with the Bussard collectors going, I'm not going to paint those red. I'm going to leave them clear, and I'm going to try and once they're connected in there, between the red bulb and that piece, I'm going to put a piece of styrene that will basically allow that light to pass through. This is probably too thick, but I want a diffuser in there. So I'll put a piece of styrene in there, or a piece of cotton like this in front of that to diffuse that piece of it. But that goes on fairly soon, but the next step is to clean up all this wiring and make that happen. Alright, having fun. When we come back, we'll have this wiring here cleaned up, and then we'll probably start figuring out how to close all this up and make some more progress. So until then, we will see you soon. Thanks. Okay, hey, welcome back to the USS Defiant, and amazingly things, we have progress. Can't believe it, but we have it. Very, very pleased. I got all the wiring done, and this is a snap together kit, so you can close it up and test fit it and so forth. And let's talk about the lighting that we do have. So in the front here is going to be our registry light. There's a USS Defiant across the top of that. We do have lights inside of there that will pull out. This is a blinky anti-collision. These three here are anti-collision lights. They're going to strobe, and they're on a separate circuit. Everything else is on one circuit. And I'm sorry, that fourth one is a blinky as well. So there'll be one blinking on the bottom, and the rest are up on top. The orange lights are in. These are the lights. I did not put a light in the top here for the bridge. Again, I just don't see that as working out very well. In the front, we have a couple of lights to light up our Bussard collectors, and very excited about that. Those are red with the green here on the side for the nav lights, red on this side for a port for nav lights. Again, these are going to blink. These are just going to be lit up white. That's going to be lit up white. In the back, we have two impulse engine lights, which I'm amazed they came out as well as they did, but I'm very excited that they did come out that way. And then we have the lights that are going to light up our warp engines. And then on the bottom again, we've got just a left and a right port and starboard side green. And then we also have all the lights that are lit up for the windows underneath there, and those are really looking nice. They're not so giant, super bright. Using that cob lighting, that worked out really well. Just to kind of give you an idea what this has to look like. Let me see here. Yeah, I'll go the right way. Inside here, we've got 4 resistors, one for each of the nav lights, one for the Bussard collector, and one for the warp engine. So that's the same on this side. Also we have, and it's very, very dim at the moment, there's actually red lights for the impulse engines there, and there should be blue lights lighting up these crystals. So those I'm really excited about as well. They turned out fantastic. Yeah, very fantastic actually. So this is going to be there we go. Yeah, so that, and that's the base hull color. I do have the brown there, the tan on the top, and we'll have to change that out. But the next step again is to put this, put the actual fronts of these in. I think those go in something like this. And there's going to be some substantial light blocking that's going to have to happen there. But put that piece in, and then this piece goes over the top of it again, something like so. Something like that. We'll get it actually put in correctly, but that is, and then we'll have to definitely work on light blocking and getting some of the stuff. I did paint this in a dark sea gray from Tamiya, so that's just going to give you kind of the build order next, and then getting some of this other stuff painted is going to then, as soon as I get this sealed up, we'll next job is to get this sealed up, get all of my lights masked off, and then start with the puttying for any places where we've got gaps or light leaks. But this actually has gone together pretty nice from that regard. Very excited about that. Once those light leaks are done and in, then we can then start the paint job in earnest. But for right now, I'm very excited about the way that this is turning out, and I think this is going to be a neat little addition here based on the other one that we've got right there. So you can kind of see where we're going with a little difference. This is going to be closer to this hull color, not this deep sea green or deep sea gray that we used. And I don't have all of my color choices put together. I only have this polished concrete right now for the hull base color. And then we've got some other photo etch things to put on and so forth. All right, very pleased, very excited. This has been kind of a long haul here, but we're definitely now moving ahead. And when we come back, we will have, we should have this buttoned up as far as all glued up. Right now it's just press fit. We'll get it glued up and then get the photo etch on. I'm sorry, get it glued up, get the seams filled, light blocked, and then photo etch, and then go after the paint on this. So thank you for coming along. Stick with me and we'll be back. Thanks.